Space tore open like a wound. Reality screamed as a warship bled through the rift, liquid mercury and impossible light. The shock wave hit before alarms could sound. A Saldari patrol ship, 600 souls, became vapor and silence. Inside the council chamber, panic ignited. Ambassador Vorn slammed a clawed hand on the railing.
That ship is human, or it wears their architecture like a ghost. Get me every database on their temporal experiments. Now.
The inevitable hovered in silence. Its mercury hull rippled with slow, deliberate pulses. No engines, no seams, no answers. Aboard the cruiser Vengeance, the tactical officers stared at his dead screen. No response to hails. It just waits. Then the Inevitable's hull pulsed deep blue-violet. A single transmission lanced out, garbled, static-laced, fragmented. The alien technicians frantically parsed the signal on their screens. Fractured words coalesced. We come, must prevent. Event not yet.
Boost the translation matrix. I don't care what it costs. That ship is 400 years ahead of us. If it speaks, I want to hear every syllable.
The Inevitable did not move again. It simply hung there, a silent question from a future that refused to explain itself. Aboard the Inevitable, the bridge was a cathedral of quiet chaos. Holograms spiraled around a lone figure, Captain Olivia Park.
4 centuries adrift. The temporal shear was worse than any simulation predicted.
Her fingers brushed a floating interface. A temporal map bloomed, an intricate tree of light, one node pulsing urgent red.
The schism event is still 6 years away, but the trigger, Frank Hill, he doesn't exist yet. Begin local data harvest.
Outside, the alien fleet tightened its noose. Weapon banks glowed hot, targeting solutions dancing like fireflies. Council command broadcast on all frequencies. Unknown vessel, you have trespassed in sovereign Saldari space. Identify or be fired upon.
We are not your enemy, but we will not be moved.
The alien fleet commander hesitated. That ship wore no armor he recognized, yet its silence felt like a blade against his throat.
Did you hear that tone? That's not a plea, it's a declaration. They know something we don't, and it terrifies me.
On the Inevitable, Park closed the channel and stared at the temporal tree. The red node pulsed like a heartbeat, the name Frank Hill flickering beside it. The temporal tree shrank, branches folding like origami into a single pulsing point. Vexthar border station. Coordinates locked.
My mission logs are explicit. A human officer, Frank Hill, at that remote outpost, commits an act that triggers the first schism. 14 billion dead.
She tapped into the local data relays, algorithms scraping every public and military record for the name. The result materialized in stark amber letters. Query: Frank Hill. Status: no individual found within current birth registries.
He doesn't exist yet, which means I have to ensure he does.
Outside, the alien fleet's patience shattered. A Saldari dreadnought's spinal cannon glowed with killing light.
That ship speaks a dead human dialect. It is either a specter or a weapon. We cannot let it roam free.
Park ignored the tactical alerts. She dove into lineage databases, tracing Hill's surnames backward through generations.
Find me the parents. The schism is 6 years away, but its father is already breathing. Locate any Hill with children or prospects.
The Inevitable's engines resonated, a sound like a waking dragon. It turned toward Vexthar, and the Saldari ship scrambled to avoid being in its path. The Inevitable slipped into the Vexthar system like a shark through kelp, silent and inevitable. Vexthar border station hung against the nebula, a rusted wheel of habitat rings, docking arms, and quiet desperation. Her comms officer's voice was tight. Captain, a match. Marcus Hill, junior officer. Logistics. His cohabitant is Susan Cole, an engineer.
Cohabitating. Not married. No child on file. If they split, the Hill line ends here.
In the station's engineering bay, Susan Cole cursed at a faulty power relay, her coveralls streaked with grease. Marcus Hill checked his datapad for the 10th time. Susan hadn't replied to his last 3 messages.
I can't keep doing this, Marcus. Every time we talk, it's like a negotiation with an adversary.
I don't want to lose you. Tell me what to fix, and I'll fix it, and I'll fix it.
If they separate, Frank Hill never exists. The schism dies with him. But my mission, my only reason for crossing time, is to make certain he is born. The paradox is obscene.
Olivia Park stared at the faces of 2 strangers whose love, or its absence, would decide the fates of billions. On Vexthar Station, klaxons erupted. The inevitable's approach had been silent, but its mass bent local space-time enough to trigger every proximity sensor.
They've spotted us. If I don't move now, security will lock down the Habring and I'll lose access to the couple.
She issued swift orders. Maintain orbit, no response to hails, project a false distress echo. Then she moved to the launch bay. Moments later, a stealth pod detached and slid toward the station. Inside, Park shrugged on a worn cloak, her face hidden.
I've put in for a transfer. Corey Station needs a reactor tech. It's already approved, Marcus.
You are leaving? Just like that? We haven't even tried counseling. There has to be another way.
Counseling requires 2 people who want to try. You only want to win.
Through the station's observation windows, the distant inevitable loomed, a silent monolith. Susan paused to stare at it, a chill running down her spine.
There she is. I have to stop her from boarding that shuttle. But what could I possibly say to a stranger that would change her mind?
The pod docked in a maintenance lock. Park stepped into the stale air of Vexthar Station, her future bleeding into their past. Park moved through the station's grimy corridors, her cloak blending with the gray of worn bulkheads. Alarms wailed, but the locals ignored them, a familiar song of frontier life.
Susan's shuttle departs in 20 minutes. Her location pings at the boarding gate, Section 12.
The gate was a press of bodies and luggage. Susan stood near the back of the line, her duffel bag slung over one shoulder.
They're checking IDs. I have no pass, no station clearance. If I try to approach, security will haul me away.
Marcus Hill pushed through the crowd, his uniform a sudden beacon of authority. Susan, wait, please, we need to talk.
There's nothing left to say. I've made my choice.
Park seized the moment. With all eyes on the couple, she slipped past the distracted checkpoint guard and strode directly toward Susan.
Susan Cole. I am a family counselor. Marcus asked me to speak with you. There are things you don't understand.
I've never seen this woman before. Who are you? What is this?
Susan stared at the stranger, then at Marcus, her expression shifting from exhaustion to wary curiosity. The boarding announcement echoed, "Final call."
You are not a counselor. You have no ID. You are lying about Marcus. Who sent you?
She's too sharp. A direct lie won't hold. I need to give her a reason to stay that's bigger than her anger. You are right. I am not a counselor. But I know something about your future, Susan. Something that can't happen without you.
Marcus stepped between them, his hand gripping Park's forearm. I am calling security. This ends now.
Let her talk, Marcus. What do you mean, my future? What could a stranger possibly know?
You are planning to leave for Corey Station, but you'll regret it. Not because of Marcus, because of what you'll miss. Something that will change everything.
The boarding gates began to close. The last passengers rushed through. Susan didn't move.
Susan, please. I don't know what this is, but don't let a crazy woman throw your life off. Come with me, we'll sort this out.
The gate is closing. If she doesn't step away now, she misses the shuttle, and my mission might yet be saved.
Susan looked from Marcus to the stranger, then to the closing door. The shuttle's engines began to hum. She stood rooted, the shuttle door sealed with a pneumatic hiss. Susan didn't step forward. The engines hummed louder, Then the craft detached and slid away.
You stayed. Why? After everything, why now?
I didn't stay for you, Marcus. I stayed because she said something that made my gut twist. Now I need answers.
If I tell her the truth about the schism, she'll think I am insane, but a half-truth might be enough to keep her here.
Before Park could speak, the station's PA crackled. Security alert. Unknown vessel in close orbit. Lockdown initiated. All personnel remain in place.
Lockdown? That ship outside, it's real. I thought it was some kind of drill.
The inevitable. They've triggered the quarantine. I have to get back before they decide to vanish me, or before my own timeline begins to erase.
You seem to know more than you are saying. Who are you really? And what does that ship have to do with me?
Park looked at Susan, then at Marcus. She could feel time fraying around her, a silent vibration in her bones. The moment demanded a piece of truth.
My name is Olivia Park. I come from a future that will never exist if you two don't figure out how to love each other.
From the future. That's insane. We're just two people on a border station. Why would the galaxy depend on us?
Unless you are talking about a child. A child that hasn't been born yet.
Yes. In my timeline, you have a son named Frank. He causes a catastrophe. But if he's never born, that future dies.
You want me to have a child just so he can commit a massacre? What kind of monster do you think I am?
You don't understand. The massacre happens anyway. Unless he lives to prevent something worse. The timeline is broken. Trust me.
The air around Park shimmered. She clutched her head. A silent scream caught in her throat. Her form flickered.
What's happening to you? Are you hurt?
My future is erasing. The longer I stay, the faster I fade. Decide now.
Boots echoed in the corridor. Station security, responding to the lockdown. They were coming for the stranger.
Stay together and billions live. Separate and they burn. I won't be here to see it. Please, give him a chance.
The security squad rounded the corner. Rifles raised. Target acquired. Surrender immediately. Park turned, her body flickering like a dying star. She stumbled toward a maintenance corridor, her cloak phasing through a bulkhead. Susan grabbed Marcus's arm, her eyes wide, not from the guards, but from the impossible sight of a woman dissolving into light.
She wasn't lying. She's actually from somewhere else. Mark, what if she's right about us?
It's insane. But she said billions die if we separate. I can't just ignore that. Even if it's a lie, the risk...
A stun bolt lanced past Park's flickering silhouette, passing through her intangible shoulder. She didn't flinch, she simply faded further. Park slipped into the service duct, her voice a whisper of static. The choice is yours. I can't hold on. Then she was gone.
I don't know if I can trust you again, Marcus. But maybe we owe it to her to try.
Aboard the station, every monitor lit up. The inevitable in orbit, and behind it the distinct engine blooms of a Council war fleet dropping out of FTL.
This ends now, all ships. Target the intruder's engines. I want their captain in chains before this timeline frays any further.
The Council fleet opened fire. Plasma rounds streaked toward the inevitable, splashing against a shimmering temporal barrier. A burst of static resolved into a desperate transmission. Captain, the temporal shielding is failing. Hull integrity at 40%.
I have to reach the ship, but if I leave too soon, Susan and Marcus might still fall apart. I need to know they chose each other.
Inside the maintenance duct, Park clawed her way forward, her limbs becoming translucent. She was running out of time.
Look at that ship, Marcus. It's under fire and not fighting back. What if she's right? What if everything depends on us?
I don't know about futures, but I know I don't want to lose you because of my pride. Can we try again? One last time.
Susan didn't answer. She just took his hand, a silent promise.
They're together. The timeline is locking in. But for me, it means the end.
Park burst onto the launch bay, where her pod flickered like a dying ember. The temporal wave was spreading,
Intensify firepower. That barrier is weakening. We will unravel the anomaly.
A Jorian missile slipped through the temporal shield, punching through the Inevitable's lower hull. Fire erupted into space.
The ship is burning. But if I die here, the timeline resets anyway. The only path is to let go of everything. My crew, my century, my own name.
Her hand passed through the pod's console. She couldn't touch it. Her molecular cohesion was almost gone. The Inevitable's AI spoke through static. Captain, temporal resonance locked. Your presence is the anchor. This timeline cannot exist without you.
Then cut the anchor. Activate the paradox cascade on my command. I won't let my existence undo what we came to achieve.
On the command ship, Vorn stared at the temporal readings. His voice dropped to a whisper. Find the captain. She's the key. Alien soldiers stormed the launch bay, led by a Seldari captain. Stasis field now. Vorn wants her intact.
They think they can capture time. They don't understand. I am already a ghost.
Park pressed her flickering hand against her heart, closing her eyes. A single pulse of blue light shot through her. The paradox cascade. The Inevitable's hull blazed with the same light. The entire ship began to turn crystalline, reality bending around it. The crystalline light expanded, washing over the station like a gentle tide. For a moment, time itself held its breath. Park's fading mind opened to a cascade of suppressed data, the true historical record, hidden for centuries.
Frank Hill wasn't the villain. He warned of the invasion. In my timeline, no one listened, and humanity fell.
Council weapons fell silent. Targeting systems flickered with paradox errors, unable to lock onto a ship no longer real.
Cease fire. The temporal signature is overwriting our fleet. We're being erased.
Susan and Marcus watched the light. They felt an inexplicable certainty that everything would be all right.
My mission was never to stop the schism. It was to restore the one man who could unite us. My timeline was the false one.
The Inevitable dissolved into a stream of blue-violet light, shooting into the closing rift. The paradox was complete. Aboard Vextar, confusion reigned. The alien fleet was gone. The alarm stopped. The unknown vessel had vanished. Susan and Marcus found themselves holding hands, sharing a small laugh, a moment of hope neither understood, but both embraced. In the place between moments, Park's consciousness hung like a fading cord. She saw Vorn's command ship, a black tumor refusing to dissolve.
I feel her. She's the anchor. Lock all remaining systems onto her temporal signature. We'll ride her residual field back into reality.
Number. If I let him use me, the paradox unravels. I have to erase every trace. My memories, my identity, the ship's core.
The AI's voice rang within her. Captain, a full personality purge will scatter your consciousness across time. There is no return.
I know. Initiate it. Let them live. Let the right history take root. This is my last order, and my last gift.
The Inevitable's crystalline light intensified, then collapsed inward. The ship's data core, and all records of its journey, dissolved into noise.
You can't. My name, my empire. I am Vorn.
Susan Cole walked alone to the observation deck, her hand resting on her stomach for no conscious reason.
Something happened here. Something we'll never recall. But for a moment, I felt like the whole future was watching us.
One last particle of blue-violet light hung in the void, trembling. In it a whisper. Trust me, you'll regret the breakup. Then nothing. The last particle winked out. Vextar Station drifted in silence. Systems rebooted. The galaxy's memory of the anomaly was already fading.
Marcus, I think we should talk. Really talk about us. About what we want.
I know I've been stubborn, but losing you made me realize nothing else matters. I want a future with you.
A future. Maybe even a family. I am scared, but I am willing to try if you are.
3 standard months passed. The station returned to routine, but the couple's quiet commitment had deepened into something solid. Susan Cole stared at the medical readout, one hand still streaked with reactor grease. The screen glowed with the words, "Pregnancy confirmed."
Marcus, I have something to tell you. Something good.
Light years away, in the deep void, a faint ripple lingered, the imprint of a ship that had never existed. The timeline was healed. The couple embraced, laughter mingling with tears. A new branch of time began to bloom, carrying the weight of a forgotten sacrifice. And in the infinite quiet between seconds, Captain Olivia Park's last thought dissolved into starlight. It was worth it. 3 weeks of quiet. Then, a tremor. Station sensors registered a microfracture in space-time, a needle of residual energy from the vanished ship.
Susan, look at this log. There's a ghost frequency. It's trying to reform the temporal anchor.
But Vorn was erased. Everything from that future was supposed to collapse.
Outside, a ghostly silhouette shimmered. A Seldari dreadnought, its hull translucent, pulsing with the same blue-violet fire.
It's a retrieval beam. It's trying to pull Vorn's consciousness back from the scattered timeline.
We can't let him return. For our child, for everyone, we have to stop it.
Susan grabbed her engineering kit, while Marcus accessed the station's defense grid. Their hands moved with the same desperate rhythm.
If we sabotage the tether, it could overload and destroy anything in the vicinity, including us.
Then we do it from a distance. I've got an idea. Trust me, Marcus.
The ghost dreadnought solidified further, its weapon ports beginning to glow. The fabric of peace stretched thin. Susan and Marcus pounded down the empty corridor, emergency lights strobing. The station shuddered with each pulse from the ghost ship.
We'll rig a feedback pulse to mimic the temporal anchor signature, then overload it from the inside.
One wrong frequency, and we'll rip the station apart. The baby. Susan, we can't gamble like this.
We gamble if we do nothing. Vorn won't just kill us. He'll enslave everyone. I won't let that happen.
The ghost dreadnought's bridge flickered, a silhouette forming in the haze, Vorn, clawing back from oblivion, his voice a distorted shriek. "You cannot erase a will this strong. I will reclaim my empire." Susan's fingers danced across the console, ignoring the voice. She primed the resonance cascade.
The tether is spiking. It's pulling him into a coherent waveform. He's almost solid.
Then we invert the wave. Now, Marcus. Activation in 3, 2...
The pulse erupted, a silent shockwave of anti-resonance. The ghost ship convulsed, its scream tearing through the void. Then nothing. The station fell silent. Klaxons died, replaced by the hum of power coming back online. In the corridor, Susan and Marcus clung to each other, breathless.
We're alive, and he's gone. Really gone.
We did it. Together. I can't believe we...
They didn't finish the sentence. Words felt too fragile. The weight of averted catastrophe pressed in, and they simply held each other. 6 months later, in the station's small medical bay, Susan Cole Hill squeezed Marcus's hand as a newborn's cry pierced the sterile air.
He's perfect. Our little miracle.
Frank. His name is Frank.
The name settled on the child like a prophecy. A name that in another timeline had been a curse. Now it was hope. Outside the station, the last faint ripple of temporal energy dissolved, leaving only stars. The future, once broken, now stretched ahead unbroken. Susan looked down at her son, and for a fleeting moment, she felt an inexplicable gratitude. Like someone, somewhere, had sacrificed everything for this. The years passed gently. Vexthar Station became a jewel of the frontier, its people unknowing of the war that never was.
He has your stubbornness, you know. Refuses to eat his vegetables.
And your brilliance. He already takes apart the maintenance bots. We'll need both traits.
They watched Frank toddle through the station's small garden, his laughter ringing against the metal walls.
All those warnings about a schism, it's like a nightmare we woke from. But the gratitude remains.
The galaxy, unknowing, flourished. Trade routes once strangled by fear opened. Old enmities softened without the shadow of the schism.
Do you ever think about her? The woman from the future?
Sometimes, like a dream. But I know it was real. She gave us Frank. She gave us everything.
A single blue-violet particle drifted past the viewport, unnoticed, then dissolved into the void, the last remnant of a future that had sacrificed itself. And in the hush of deep space, the last echo of Olivia Park became starlight, watching over a galaxy she saved but would never know. Frank grew tall and curious, his eyes always reaching for the stars beyond the viewport.
You see that star? That's where they say a ship from nowhere once appeared. A legend now.
Frank listened, unknowing that his name was woven into the galaxy's salvation.
One day, you'll know the truth. But for now, just be a boy.
Vexthar Station prospered, and the name Hill became a quiet pillar of the community.
He'll be a fine officer someday, or an engineer. Either way, he's ours, and that's enough.
The galaxy spun on, untouched by the war that had never begun. In the heavens, a new star appeared, bright, steady, a silent tribute. Susan touched a small locket she never remembered buying, a faint warmth in her chest. She smiled, though she didn't know why. Olivia Park's last whisper passed through the void, a blessing only the stars could hear, and somewhere, a boy named Frank Hill looked up at the sky, feeling an unspoken call toward the future. Years passed. Vexthar Station thrived, its walls echoing with the laughter of children born after the anomaly. In their quarters, Susan and Marcus watched Frank, now a boy of 7, build a model starship with intense concentration.
He reminds me of someone. I can't place it. A dream, maybe.
The locket at her throat pulsed with a soft blue light, then stilled. She touched it, a fleeting warmth spreading through her chest. Not a memory, but gratitude. Far across the void, a single particle of blue-violet light drifted into a nebula, and a whisper echoed. It was worth it. The galaxy never knew the name Olivia Park, but her sacrifice was written in every peaceful star, every future dawn. Frank looked up from his model. His voice was full of quiet certainty.
I know you will, sweetheart. Just remember to be kind.
And the stars, cold and eternal, seemed to wink back in silent promise. Frank, now a young man, stood at that same viewport, the nebula's colors dancing in his eyes.
The legend says a ship once came from a future that never was, to save a future that had to be.
Frank didn't answer. He just pressed his palm to the cold glass, as if reaching for something just beyond. Vexthar hummed around them, full of lives that never knew the weight they carried. The locket at Susan's throat pulsed once more, then went cold, its duty done. A whisper, barely a ripple. You did well, both of you. The galaxy continued its slow turn, never knowing how close it came to fire, and in the deep silence, the name of the ship that never was still echoed. Yes, and inevitable. Frank Hill would grow to be more than his other self ever was, a protector, a shield, a living answer to a sacrifice he'd never know. Some futures are not meant to be. Some must be erased so others can live, and some, like a single particle of light, become the stars.